Hello, folks, and thanks for coming out on this evening. Yeah, we're delighted to have the Clare Root Society people here, and we're delighted to have Aoife here. As part of our History Week festivities, this is Genealogy Day, so this is a very, very interesting lecture with all kinds of connotations, but genealogical connotations and musical connotations. And I'm delighted to hand over from the libraries to the Clare Roots man, Larry Marks. So I'll just give it to him here.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm standing in for Jane this evening. Larry Parks here. Jane, our chairperson, was unable to be here this evening, and she sends her apologies. On behalf of Jane and the Clare Root Society, I'd like to thank Michael Talty, who's just vacated the room. We'll record it for posterity, though. To thank Michael and the Clare Library for arranging the use of this wonderful library room. It's a joint venture, and our meetings are normally on the third Thursday, so this is the second, and we're an hour early, so that probably accounts for some people who are absent. So without delay, I'd like to introduce, extend a warm welcome to Aoife Kelly, excuse me, who will share some family histories through Kilfenora and their musical tradition. Please extend a warm welcome to Aoife.
Hi everybody, thank you for having me today. I'm very happy to have been asked by the Clare Root Society, and I'm happy to be here with you today. I started this project called Sounds of Kilfenora a few years ago. I was clearing out my grandfather's house. He's still alive and well. He is 96 years of age and has a better memory than I ever will do. And we were speaking about lots of musicians in the locality where my granny was from in Kilfenora, and this whole project stemmed from that. I got funding from the Arts Council to create the website, the archive of people. I was meant to have about 20 people on the archive, and I ended up with 85 musicians who were they had to be, my criteria were from in and around the Kilfenora area, and they had to be born before 1950. So yeah, so I ended up, I've added a few since, so it's a few more, but anybody that I hear about that played music or danced or sang in the area or lilted, I've added them to the archive. So I'm just going to start this now. So it's called The Sounds of Kilfenora. Great. And this is the photo that it started from. It's a photo of where my mother grew up. My mum Mary is in the front there, and it's a house in Lakeene, Kilfenora. Lakeene is the lake in Kilfenora, and that's where my family come from. I grew up in Dublin, and I'm a musician as well. I play the concertina, and the music always was, or so I thought, from my dad's side of the family. Paddy knows me from my family in West Clare in Reha, where my granddad John Kelly was from. He was kind of a well-known fiddle player and a concertina player, and then he moved to Dublin in the mid-1940s, and he opened a shop there. So we all play music, and we always have been been around music. We spent a lot of time in Kilfenora growing up. In fact, all of our time in Kilfenora growing up. And we had a house there, and then my mum was a set dancer, and we'd go set dancing, and we'd be there the whole time. But I never realised the amount of music that was in the area until a lot later, until I was speaking to my granddad, and we were going through photos, and this photo came up, and I said, I kind of recognised the photo, and I said, is that our house? Is that the home house in Lakeene? And he said yes, and there's some very interesting things that you can see in the photo, like there is a gun at the top. My great-granddad, he was into his fowling, and there's also, my husband is an avid fisherman, and he noticed that there is a fishing line up at the top here, a fishing rod that's there. And then there's lots of people in the photo that even I recognized. That's my granny in the bottom left-hand corner there. That's Granny Bridget Lynch is her name. Everybody called her Granny Bridget. And then there's the musicians there. And then they're set dancing there. You can see they're set dancing. So I remember hearing about all the people who were set dancing. And so that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of, if our family have these photos and this much information in their house, I wonder what other people have in their houses. So these are the two photos that I found from that night. And from speaking with my grandfather and from speaking with another woman who was at the event that night, they think that it is an American wake that took place in 1955. And the woman, you can see her here, the woman here. Her name is, what's her name, ma'am? Tessa Hagerty, yes. Although Tessa is alive and well in the States, and Tessa doesn't think that it's her American wake. So we're not very sure, because my grandfather and our family friend both think that it is her American wake. For most of you obviously will know, but when you went to America, you would have a party, and then this was one of the parties for her, they think. And then there was the musicians, and you can kind of see a kind of a before and after picture there even. Where the musicians are there, and then afterwards they're kind of posing with their drinks and things, like saying that they're having a good time. And then a couple of years later, after me and my husband had done up the house, we recreated the photos. And so at the bottom left-hand corner there, you can see this is me. I'm in the place where my granny is, so I was very delighted. I literally had a party just so we could recreate this. That was the only reason for the party. So we had set dancing, and that's the exact same corner. Like, it's not exactly the same angle, but there's stairs there, you know, like a second story there. So there's stairs, and you can overlook the stairs. So that's it. And so along with this, I found 2 tapes in the house. So I found the first tape, and they said, and you can see by the tapes that they are obviously from the 1980s. You know, they're not very, very old. But then it says tape 1, Kilfenora, Xmas 55. And the second tape said Kilfenora tape 2, Christmas 55. So there's 2 tapes there, and I don't know if you can see there, but it says band, Kitty and Jane Mull, John Joe, JJ, PJ, Jerry. So they're all names that I recognise. Most of them are from members of the old Kilfenora Céilí band. And so, but what's very interesting about these tapes is we have lots and lots of music from the Kilfenora Céilí band. They're obviously world famous, but the individuals playing on their own, that's why these tapes are actually really interesting. And I've since discovered that the tapes were recorded, probably, we're not 100% sure, but we think these are the tapes that were recorded in what they call the shop, is Kitty Lenan's house in Kilfenora, where she lived. And so they called it the shop there. It used to be a pub, I think. Did it? No. Was it a shop? Okay, it was a shop. And I heard over the course of the recording that people would go in individually to get recorded. And then as the night wore on, they were slowly getting more drunk as the night wore on. But it's still an amazing record. And I'm going to come out of the PowerPoint now just for a second for you to see on the website, if my computer will allow it. You can go into recordings on the website, which is soundsofkilfenora.com, and I have a few recordings up there that I've digitized. And so this is the tape. This is the Kilfenora. This is tape 1. So you can go through, and if you click on any of them, you can select. So I'm going to select Jerry Lynch, who was a very lovely man who played the accordion. So you can. So that's kind of interesting. I found it so interesting. Or you have Kitty Lenan singing, which I think is also very interesting. So that's it. So you can go into the website to your heart's content. I'm going to go back to the slideshow now. So that's the recordings. So, and also I did we had a launch night in April, and I did an exhibition. So that's where you can see all the placards here. So they were put up in Kilfenora in the hall for the weekend for the Kilfenora Trad Fest. So that went very well. So really, like, this talk is about the like the Clare Root Society and the history of the people and the connections in the area. So one of the things that took the longest time for me was to do a map of the area and trying to map out where the people were. And it's actually very interesting because you can see clusters there of where the most amount of musicians. Now, this map isn't every single musician that was from Kilfenora that was born before 1960, but it's the ones that I could get information from. So if I heard of somebody and then their brother, I sat with my granddad one night and he gave me 65 musicians just off the top of his head. And he was like, oh, the McMahons, they were from Kylemore. And then he went through all of them, and that she played the whistle and he played the fiddle, and he went on and on and on and on. And so you can see there, Kilfenora Village, I have 10 people from there. Carshirkin, which is technically in Ennistimon, people don't give out to me. I know, so it was Kilfenora and surrounding area, but you couldn't really. Carshirkin is very close. Leakeen is where my family are from, which you can see here, if I can see my cursor. Yeah, that's Leakeen there. And then just down the road then is Carshirkin, where a lot of people came from there as well. And Kylemore, there was a huge amount of families there. So then I have a list of all the people there from all the different areas as well. So you can see, like, there's townlands that I never even knew existed. And so most of these people are in family groups that played obviously in one area. So it really did go down the generations of families in the area. There was loads of people. There was the Golden Star Katie Band, Lara Kay there. And there was areas that actually aren't on maps. I have Oakty there, and that's actually not on any map. It's just what people colloquially call the area. So I was looking for Oakty and there was no such place. It's just what people call it, which is kind of interesting as well. Well, in my book it is. They say that Gary Shannon did a really interesting thesis on the beginnings of the Kilfenora Kelly Band. He did that in the year 2000, I think it was published. And in that book, he surmises that the reason that the music in Kilfenora was so strong was because of the fife and drum bands and the marching bands that were in Kilfenora before around the turn of the century and before. They were taught by English soldiers, and so there was a really high level of competence in the area of people, of musicianship, and being able to read music, which was really big, which was really huge. In the tracks that I have listened to of the people, like when I was researching people, it wasn't just for if they were a good musician or not. I wanted to know, like for my granddad, I wanted to know if they were, tall or small, or were they good crack, or were they, these are the kind of things that I wanted to know. And the history of coming down through generations is really, really strong in this area. You can see Paddy Burt, the Burts of Kilfenora were really well known. They moved then to Ennistimon. And Enda Burt, I'm sure you've all heard of Sound Your Ah. It's a really brilliant book that he brought out there a while ago. And there's lots of overlapping between Kilfenora and Ennistimon, obviously, because they're so close. And you can see this is a really interesting photo that I found. But that was the level of musicianship in and around the Kilfenora area. It wasn't just the Kilfenora area now, but Kilfenora just happens to be the place where I'm researching. And actually, I'd love other people to do other areas. I think it's very interesting to find out more about the different families and stuff from every area. This is the Kilfenora Brass and Reed Band, taken in 1910, and there's some members of the Kilfenora of the old Kilfenora Céilí Band that came together there as well. You can see T. Slattery and a few other people, Nayland and stuff that were there. This is an amazing graph that was done by Gary Shannon on the connections of the Kilfenora Céilí Band and how people came to be. So they have the McMahon and Mary McMahon and John Lynch, and then from them all the people that are even currently in the Kilfenora Céilí Band are there. You can see Fintan and Aidan McMahon are currently in the Kilfenora Céilí Band there. Gary Shannon's there. Magella, Sharon is there as well, Sharon Shannon is there. Then there's the Lynches, and so John Lynch, who's the leader of the Kilfenora Kelly band at the minute, is there as well. So you can see that from all these connections, and I'm related there as well. The joke is that we're related to everybody in County Clare through either my dad's side or my mum's side, which I don't think is a joke actually. I think it's just true. And you can see the huge amount of connections there. And that was just done about the Kilfenora Kelly band. My project was trying to actually, not that the Kilfenora Kelly band weren't very important, which they were, but the idea was the individuals actually, you know, who were they? And it wasn't just the Kilfenora Kelly band there, you know, there was other people and other families playing there as well. So that was my focus. But this is just to illustrate the connections between all the families. My granddad always talks about all the house dances that happened in Clare, which is where my granny grew up. And you can see all the families that were living in Clare at the time. He talks about the Wards, he talks about the Lynches. And what's interesting to me as a musician that plays now in I play trad, you know, all over the place, is that the tunes are still played. So Jim Ward's jig is still played. Austin Tierney's reel is still played. These are, and I think a lot is sometimes forgotten about these people. You know, we just play Austin Tierney's, and up until 2 years ago, I didn't know who that man was. So I think it's kind of interesting. This now is this is the family of Pat Lynch and widow Susan O'Brien. So these are some very interesting people in this. This woman is Kitty Lenan's mother, Lily, is that woman there. This is another woman, Bridgie McGrath. She was a very famous concertina player. And what's very sad is that she was recorded. She was very well known. My granddad from West Clare, he would speak about Bridgie McGrath. They'd always say, it's funny, they always had to put the women against each other. They would say, she was better than Mrs. Crotty. She was better than Mrs. Crotty. But anyway, I don't understand everybody that you would hear about. But she was very famous and she was recorded. But back in the day, they re-recorded. The tapes were very expensive, so they recorded over it. And I thought that maybe from my research that I might have somebody who might have recorded her, but then we never did. I never managed to find it. You never know. You never know what people have. The joke was that I was stalking old people in the Kilfenora area. I was like, give me what you have. I was always so worried about, you know, if somebody had a photo that they would throw out, or, you know, if you don't have somebody who's interested in these things. Or I've heard so many stories of people having skips full of tapes, which breaks my heart. So this is why I did it as well. So this is, once again, this is the Corkham Row Katie band, which then was Kilfenora and then became the Corkham Row and then the Kilfenora again. So those people are all connected to that you can see. And just showing you the generations moving forward. On the night of the launch, we had lots of musicians playing and of the different families. And this is Judith Davrin and her father, Pat Lynch, and their cousin, Judith O'Donoghue as well, playing on stage. And just to give you a flavour, like their music is so interesting to me because they get a lot of their tunes from the fife and drum bands, from that tradition. And so it's, for me, like from my dad's family, like West Clare, like very simple and strong music, but then this totally different type of like very elaborate, very high-end music coming from Kilfenora. It's like a completely different world. It's really interesting. And I'll just play you a little bit of them playing, the Lynch family playing. So this is the next generation of the families. In the first photo I showed you of the house dance, so it's Pat's granddad that was playing there, John Joe. Was it his father? Sorry, his father. His father and father, but and uncle. Thanks, Mom. She'll do the talk.
We asked Aoife to play this evening, and we tried to get just a couple of pieces that have been played by generations before us, the Matthias in child last century. And we're going to start this evening with two marches, known as Ward's marches, to one town ward in Clare. Of course, there's posters on the wall. So we'll start with Ward's marches.
Right, really rousing music there. You can see the history of where their music came from. And I still to this day, when they play, it's like a different world actually for me. It's music that I'm not used to, and I just think it's amazing. Now, in relation to another family, now it's I think actually Michael might have been related to them as well. Michael Slattery is one of the oldest people in my list, 1855, which is astonishing, really. And it's great that it's amazing that we have a photo of him and his lovely wife there. His wife was, I think, Bert as well was her name. And so she's connected to the births of Ennis Diamond as well, and Kilfenora Ennis Diamond. And he was a highly respected fiddle player, and he was one of the people who helped start the Kilfenora Ceilidh Band. They were fundraising for the church, I think, and a few of them came together. Like Bridgie McGrath and Michael Slattery came together to do some fundraising, and from there they said, "Oh, we're sounding good. Will we try to? Will we do some gigs together?" And so that's where I think it came from. And then you can see his daughter now was a woman, Molly Connell. So her name was obviously her name was Slattery. And she was really significant in the beginnings of the Kilfenora Ceilidh Band as well. She was a trained pianist, so she was trained, and so she could kind of organize what they were playing together. So she was amazing. And then to go down the generation again, then her daughter Phil McMahon she was in the Kilfenora Ceilidh Band as well, and she helped out and she organized things. And then nowadays, her son, Fintan McMahon, is in the current Kilfenora Ceilidh Band. So it is, you can just see the music going down through the generations. And especially like Molly and Phil and Fintan all played the piano. So it's really, it's very strong in their family. It's really amazing. Another family that's from the area, from Kylemore. And by the way, at the beginning of this, I don't think I'd ever heard of Kylemore. And Kylemore is right beside Leakeen. So there was one story I had heard about that area. There is a lake that's there, and it's kind of gone now. I think the water plane had changed or something. And it was a lake that was very well known for people going and driving cattle through the lake. Lake Fergus, it was called. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. But I actually found it in a book. And I didn't know, you read something in a book. But then I spoke to a family member, Noreen here, and she told me that she remembers people coming to the house on May Eve, and they would there was only a little bit of water left in, and so it was for a cure for the animals. So they would go and they would get a cure for the animals. They used to drive the cattle through, but then when the lake went down, then they would just get a little bit of water for the cattle. And then they would have her father would play music for the people coming over for the May Day, which is a lovely memory. So John Tom McMahon, he was the original member. He was the patriarch of the family, and he played. So God only knows. I don't know about the generation before him, but we can only guess. He was born in 1868, and then the next in his family is his four of his children. So that was Mary John Tom, and Annie John Tom, and Jacko John Tom, and Joe John Tom McMahon. So in the area, as most of you probably know, there was too many McMahons, so they had to give them all nicknames. So in Kilfenora, it's the Bridges and the Castles, and there's a million of them anyway. And so this generation were known as the John Tom McMahons. And then this is Jacko John Tom. So Nuala Heher is a very well-known accordion player, and this is her grandfather. And I'm not sure. I think in his photo, it might be a pipe, or I think it actually looks like a whistle as well, but it's probably a pipe anyway. And that's his wife as well, Nora McMahon. She was a lilter in the area as well. She was from the area as well. And then his four kids were all known as the Jacko John Toms. So it goes generationally down. And they all played as well, which is amazing. And then the generation after them play as well. So it's really astonishing. So this is on the night of the launch of this project, which was in April. the family got together, which was really special, and the next generations played. So there's 3 generations on that stage. I'll let Nuala introduce.
So I think I heard Jacko John Town mentioned there, so this is Laurie Jacko John Town and Molly Jacko John Town, my aunt and my mum. And missing is my first cousin in the county, Clare, McDermott, and she couldn't be here. And these are my own children, Danny, Tag, and me, Hollow. So we're going to begin with 2 jigs tonight. Kitty Glass jig is the first one, and the second one we call the Q's jig. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, we were lucky on that night. We had a really lovely night where showcasing the families that can, and it was kind of an excuse for the families that wouldn't normally play together. My family played as well. I have nieces and nephews, and they played with us as well on the stage, and we danced a set as well. So it's really also in my family. It's going down the generations. You're like, you better play. So yeah, so this is really interesting. This was something that I found from the Tierney family in Kilfenora. Austin Tierney was a tune, and I had always played this tune, and I never realised it was a man from 2 minutes away from my grandparents' place. And when I heard that, I was so shocked. Like, I know the house, and we know who lives in it now, and we have actually a lot of photos from outside that house. They were great friends with my grandparents, and so they were always over there. And so when I heard about this Austin Tierney's, I was really intrigued, and their family all played as well. And this was very interesting. This was given to me by Mary Tierney, a relation of theirs as well. And this was a fiddle. And what's interesting about this is that it was photos sent to Coltis back in the day. This is from, yeah, I think in 1978 or something. But it was a fiddle made from Kilfenora wood. It says it was made, this is a full-length photograph. The violin was made by John Tierney timber, with timber from Kilfenora. And it says, detail on the head of the violin, made by John Tierney about the year 1895, which is astonishing. And that fiddle still is in existence today. So, I mean, I think it should be in a museum. I think it's the most amazing thing ever. And to actually have a photo of that man, his name is Jamesy Tierney. And then I think, we're not sure of the relationship actually. I should double check the relationship. He was recorded in the 1901 census. Jamesy was listed as a carpenter and builder living in Kilfenora with his wife Anne Tierney. Oh, and his mother was Ellen Burt, so linked him to the Burt family as well. You're hearing all the same things again. And then the famous man, Austin Tierney, this is him. Austin's father, and I was looking at, I love a census record. I'm sure if you're all here, you love a census record as well. And so the other day I was trying to piece together the family and, so I think that the man from the previous one, Jamesy, was this man's uncle, and John was Austin's father. And it says John and his wife Mary, and then there's Ellen there as well. And she was 91 in this census of 1901. And then they have 4 kids listed there, Mary, Austin, John, and Martin. And then what's very heartbreaking though is, and Mary listed was there as 22. And in the next census, you can see that Mary's no longer there. And you can see that it says that how many children did Mary have? And it said she had 11 children and 3 survived. How many are still living? 3. So in the 10 years between the 1901 and the 1910, that 22-year-old died somehow, tragically. So that's very sad. It really hit me actually that you can, you know, have 11 children and only three alive. So Austin Tierney, and then this is Austin Tierney's Reel. That's very famous. And then I just play a tiny bit of it because you definitely have heard the tune before. A very famous tune here. This is one of the photos that I found from Mary Tierney. What's interesting about Mary is that she doesn't have any family that plays. So actually she was worried. She had this photo that we discovered in my, actually Noel O'Donoghue got it from her. He was very helpful to me. And he discovered this photo, which is amazing. It's of them dancing outside. And once again, that is my granny, the small one on the left. And then that's my granddad, the tall one on the right. So I think they might have been just married. We think in the 1950s sometimes this was taken. And there that Martin Tierney and Paddy Tierney is on the fiddle. I think he went to America after that. There's not a lot of the Tierneys left. And as well, I got contacted after I was on Nationwide about this program in June. And I got contacted by the daughter of that man. Is it John Quinn is his name, and his daughter got in touch with me, and she had never seen the photo before, and I think her dad died when she was 15, so she didn't know him very well, and so she said she was going to she wanted to donate to the archive and give me his flute, which is very, very sweet, but I don't have an actual physical archive, but no, it was very nice of her, and she's going to talk to my granddad about her dad as well, because they knew each other very well. So, and I just think it's an amazing photo that could have been lost. Another family then are the Rins family. So these are from Carashirkin. So once again, technically on the border of Kilfenora. And this is the patriarch of the family, and he was concertina player. And then he had I think a few more kids, but he had Tomas was born first, and then Mickey, and then Sean. And he was James. Oh yeah, sorry. Tommy Rinn and Sean Rinn as well. And that's a great old photo of them playing in a house as well. And then the next generation that is Anne Rinn, who's a great friend of mine. She's in the current Kilfenora Katie band, and that's her and her dad playing. And the one before is her and Nora Marshall, who was a very well-known fiddle player in Kilfenora as well. And then that is Anne with her sons, who also play. And then that is a picture of the current Kilfenora Katie band. That's Anne's in. So the music just keeps slowing down. I don't think it's like a tide. I don't think there's anything that you could do to stop it. Anne also gave me some gorgeous photos of, I was doing a little bit of research on house dances. I didn't get as much done as I would have liked to, but I got a few nice old photos. So this is Anne's, I think her aunt had came back from America to get married, and so they had the party in the house in Carashirkin, and they still own this house, which is really interesting. So you can see all and I swear I can recognize some people still from Kilfenora from the heads in these photos. They're great. The wedding was in July 1954, so they were still having house dances at the time there. My grandfather remembers that there was a plethora of house dances. So whether the dance hall act wasn't having as much of an impact then in the 50s as it had previously, I'm not sure. But my grandfather, especially when he was in his 20s, he says that he remembers lots and lots of house dances being quite often had in the houses. And this is a great clip of the Kaluri brothers, who were very famous men from the Scanner, and they're talking just a bit about house dances here.
They're finished in the factories now, in ancient factories. And they used to hold the scenes out in all over the market, the whole stencil, you see. And the hierarchy, they was giving out sermons about the whole stencil, you see. But most people didn't give them too much heed, they kept on against it. It was like, he said, they were sinful, he said. They was holding too long, he said. Until the early hours of the morning, he said. They were the morning, he said. Sinful in the morning. And the next act that came up was the dance hall act. There were dance halls built in the towns. There was one in Stein, one in Milton, Malbay, Corrafin and all. in licensed dancers, you know. And there was a half-crown admission to go into the halls. In the country men and women, you see, they wouldn't go into the halls, you see, they would be going into the town. In the government of the day at that time, like, being of our government with the cars, you see. You couldn't hold a country dance after that, you should have a license for a country dance. You want a license. And as a matter of fact, I held a dance in my house here. In them days, after the dance had been banned, and I had a nice crowd of people here in the house, and about 1 o'clock, the 2 guards from the hedge came into the house. The first thing the sergeant asked me, he said, John, you're called in a dance here tonight. Yes. You have a good crowd, he said. I have, I said. Have you a license for this dance, he said. No, Sergeant, I said. I didn't think that I needed a license. And anyhow, I said, if I did go to look for a license, I'm afraid I wouldn't get no license. You're not to need it, he said, no. Since the dance hall act came out, he said, to hold these country dances. He took my name and he was down in the room to see and counted all that was in the house. I was somewhat of brought to court, and I was fined £10. That finished all the dancing around the district then. No one dare chance to dance after that, a country house dance, all of it, no.
It's very sad, really. All the connections that were lost, and all the, you know, even now we sometimes have music in our house. The family plays, and we have set dancing in the house, and it's such a wonderful thing to get all our neighbours together to play music. It's and even like for the, you know, for my granddad's generation to get together and to reminisce about those times. And yeah, those photos that we recreated were taken. I think it was 56 years apart or something, those photos. So it was amazing that we could do that. And this is just on an aside, talking about families. This is my great granddad, who I knew. I was very lucky growing up. My mom was the eldest in the family. So at one stage I had 4 grandparents and 2 great grandparents alive. So I knew my great granddad and his wife. I knew, and they were both part of the War of Independence. Great granddad Andrew, he was, I'm just reading it here so I don't get it wrong, he was the commandant of the 5th Battalion Mid-Clare Brigade during the War of Independence. He was involved in lots of action in the time. We have lots of stories about him. It's on the Clare Library website. Actually, is an interesting excerpt from kind of a book that he wrote. His daughter interviewed him, and he spoke about the war and everything. It's very interesting. And he also played a bit of the concertina, which I'd never seen him play the concertina, but it was in the house and he had a few tunes. So people kept saying to me, actually, when I was doing the project, they said, oh, don't put them on the list because they didn't play out much. But sure, that didn't matter. Like, especially the women, I got over 20 women in the list, which is amazing for the time, you know. Like 25% of the people on my list were women, which is amazing. And people were like, oh, they didn't play out, but it didn't matter a damn to me. I was just delighted to get them on the list. And you can see in one of the panels that's there today, I just wanted to add how much music there is in the area at the minute. So like there's generations of people like Noel O'Donoghue and his family, and the Lynches, of course, are there, and the Rins are there, the Kilfenora Kelly Band, and the Devitts are there, and the Griffiths, and Nuala Harris family as well, and obviously Tommy Peoples and Siobhan Peoples are there. And with the green background over there, the 3 little fiddlers, they're my family. That's my nephew and my twin nieces. And so, yeah, there's loads and loads. Mike Butler is there, who's related, his mother's on the list. And yeah, it continues to this day. So I'm going to finish it there. And wonder if anybody has any questions that you'd like to ask. And my mum is here to answer questions as well. But there's too many connections in Kilfenora. Too many people are related. I could only get so deep into it. So,
Thank you, Aoife, for a wonderful introduction to Kilfenora. So detailed. It's amazing the community, how close-knit it is and how musical it is.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It just is. Are there any questions from the audience? Someone surely has a question.
Where did you get the 2 tapes from? Where did you get those?
They were in the house as well.
Oh, you-
Yeah, they were in the house. Yeah, there was just a box of tapes. Me and my husband were going through everything. The house hadn't been cleared out in 150 years, and we found the tapes. And I was like, gold dust. And I got onto some people. I got onto Pat Lynch actually, because I kind of presumed everybody had copies of these tapes, and he said, "No, Aoife, I've never seen these before." So then I didn't even touch them. I gave them to the Irish Traditional Music Archive to digitise because I was really worried about wrecking them. So yeah, there were 2 in the house. Yeah. But I got lots of other tapes from other people. Sean Jordan is a professional sound engineer. He's from Listonfarna, and he gave me some of his stuff. He's amazing.
Those were Paddy who did the recordings.
Oh yeah, Uncle Paddy did those recordings. Yeah, my grand uncle did those recordings. So of the tapes. Yeah, so that's why they were in our house.
Anyone else? I had a question, maybe just a point. I belong to the Clare Roots, I belong to the Probus group in town, one of the Probus groups. And we had Frank Wheeland in recently, okay, who gave, he played the uilleann pipes.
Oh, yeah.
And along with Michael Butler.
Oh
You
yeah.
mentioned Michael.
Yeah.
We know him very well. Some of us were through with the golf,
Okay.
and it's golf.
Yes.
Anyway, Frank mentioned specifically, okay, that and when women married, okay, they stopped
Yes.
going out and playing music. And I asked the question why, and I know it's a cultural thing, but that's precisely what it was.
Mm.
But Kilfenora seems, you mentioned 25%
Yes.
of women still played
Yeah.
the music and
Yeah.
continued the tradition. What was the difference?
No, they still stopped playing. Bridgie McGrath, I don't think her husband was necessarily that supportive of her playing. So lots of them would have stopped playing, especially when especially when they had young children, and a lot of them had lots of kids. So I think a lot of them stopped playing. Even Nora Marshall that I mentioned there as well, and then they got back into it, like in their old age. Though lots of them, I think it just was they had too much to do. What could they?
They were very busy.
They were just very busy
Raising
people.
families.
So I think the difference is that some people were brought back in to like say Nora Marshall, Anne Ryn was good friends with her, and Anne Ryn kind of dragged her into playing again. And Bridgie McGrath, I actually don't. I don't think that there's stories about her that she used to think of tunes in the middle of the night and she'd write them on the wallpaper beside her. And but actually at one stage I don't even think she had a concertina. So when she was recorded, somebody had brought her a concertina to play as well. So yeah, I think a lot of these people just didn't play, and they got back into it. So I was very delighted when the amount of it. Like I have a board there, it's women in the tradition, so you can see all the women that I have from the oldest to the youngest there, and I was delighted to have that many in the list.
Any other questions?
Just I grew up in Kildare. You can hear me.
It's for the recording.
I grew up in Kildare where there was none of this tradition, and I met my future wife in Manchester, and she brought me to Kilmore.
Really?
And the first Sunday night, the neighbours came in, and her father took out the concertina, Nora in the back, whistled, Paul used to whistle.
Oh, I just see you now.
And it was amazing that all people could sing, recite, and dance. So I decided maybe I should learn to do this set dancing. And there was no electricity that year, it came the following year. So I got up anyway and I tried to dance. And I thought the higher you jumped, the better you would be. But unfortunately, I hit my head off the tilly lamp and down it came and blew in 1,000 pieces.
Stop.
And I didn't know which door to run out. It was my first night, But it was a lovely culture shock for me. And I'm delighted to experience that home
Yes.
dancing and music.
Yeah.
And that's my point.
If the people from Kilmore want to tell some stories firsthand, there, take the mic. Yes. Whoever.
Go ahead.
Tell a story.
Mary.
Mary, do you want to tell us some stories about growing up in Kilmore? Tell us.
It was absolutely wonderful. of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were steeped in music,
Yeah.
as you can see from my grandfather and down and on the way.
Yes.
My niece there playing Lula Emery.
Yes.
Our children, so I suppose from the youngest age, my sister Lauren, when she'd be up all night, and my father's niece, obviously, she'd be dancing when she could, that was all she could do. She was only a few months old, you know, she was in the blood. So
Yes. Tell me about the tradition. Did I get it right about what was the Fergus? Was it Lake Fergus? Was that the name of the lake? Loch Fergus. Yes. And what it had curing was for cows, wasn't it?
yeah,
Animals.
take some of the water on the night.
Oh yeah. And what did it cure them of?
Yeah, anything.
Oh really? Okay. And wasn't there a chair? Is there something about a chair?
Chair made from stone.
And what happened? Did it
It was around then.
if you sat in it, you didn't get pain in your back anymore? Was that it?
No, just the intention wasn't there, but you know, St. Fergus's. St. Fergus was made.
Ah, okay.
And you had to get the water after the sunset.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Norman? After the sunset on
May night.
the last night of April, and before the sun rose on the first day of May.
And do you remember people coming over?
Oh, yes, and
Yeah.
and dancing in the house.
Yeah, through the night.
Oh, no, Trevor.
Oh, okay.
That one wasn't a cup of tea.
Yes.
Dancer.
Yeah, Noreen told me. Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
I worked with the woman at the house, I suppose, at the time we just left, but that was her duty, but if I was subjected to now, I don't think I'd be as jealous as my mother.
Would your dad play much? Would he, when you were growing up, do you remember him playing much?
We chatted cigars.
Really?
Every Sunday, and he was great patience, because I remember, as he'd come back from Mass, he'd get out the concertina, and he'd play between the two doors, the back door, and he'd play. Can you remember that, Laurie? Yeah, my brother.
We'll give her the mic. So. Yeah, give her the mic.
It's there.
Yeah. And I showed a video of Noreen playing there yeah, I didn't know you were in the corner. I'm so sorry. Oh, what?
Holly was there next to her.
Yes, exactly.
And our daughter was away. It's like that she was in Spain. She said, I just feel like going home that night.
I know.
She was coming back the next day.
A pity. No, go on, no, tell us. Yeah, go on. What do you remember?
Well, I remember we were excited about it as if we were going to show Lanzarote.
And your mother was a lilter, wasn't she?
She used to be,
She
yeah.
used-
My mother loved it.
Yeah.
But she used to say, my father, when people come from America, they come to the house, and we would get away here, my friends, and come in to play the casino. Mother didn't like it too well.
God.
It was so.
But he played the whistle as well, did he? Was it?
Played a lot of instruments.
Yes.
Organ and whistle and
Really?
concertina, yeah, he did.
That's
He
good.
loved music. If he was alive now, he'd be on the road all
And did you know his father? Did you know your grandfather? No. You did know him.
I was 3 when he died.
What do people talk about? What did they say about? What kind of a man was he? What was he like?
It's exactly as it's nice to see the picture.
Yes.
My childhood memories, but you can multiply that sometimes. That's I'm a nephew now, Colin's son, and Kevin. He's very like him. Can you all hear?
He's like him. That's gas. Here, we'll go back to the. I'm going to find the slide now, so we know who we're talking about. There we are now. Yeah, that's him now. That's great because it's.
My parents.
Yes, and your parents. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite photos. Now, do you think that's his pipe, or do you think that's a whistle? It's a pipe. It's the pipe. Yeah. He looks like a character. I think he looks like a character. Yeah. Really? Yes, I can see it. Like his daughter. Yeah. There you go.
No, Lauren's daughter was there, and she said it was Kilfenora, I have chapter,
Oh, yeah.
and her, they were her two boys.
Yes.
They're very sweet. Lovely little tots.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad I brought up your family now and you're here. Thank you so much for coming. That's great. That's great. Very important family now in Kylemore now that I'm delighted that they've made it tonight. Thanks so much.
Any more questions? Stories?
The Ward family.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they mentioned like that. No, I'm from the other side of the country. Did you mention? Well, they mentioned that.
Oh yeah, I have the wards. Yeah, I have the wards. Oh yeah, I have lots. I have lots of music. In fact, something very interesting. I just couldn't bring up every family, but one of the interesting things is if you go to the website, I meant to show everybody this actually. If you go to the website, you can just click on an area here. So if I click on Clare, which is where the wards are from, and then you give it a few seconds, you'll see everybody who was from that townland. That's Noreen Lynch, that was my mom's godmother. And these are Frank O'Mahony, who technically is from Ennistimon, and I got bullied to add him on the list, but it's fine, his mother was from Clare, so there you go. So
He spent all his time in Clare.
he spent all his time in Clare. My mother was one of the people who bullied me into adding him on the list, because, you know, if you just, anyway, it doesn't matter, he's on the list now. That's Jim Ward, Joe Ward, and then they had, and Tom Ward. And so the Wards, Jimmy Ward did, he did an interview actually, and there's an entire a few hours interview of him talking about his life. And so you can see I lived in Clare, a place that made a bit of a name for itself regarding music. I think 12 hours never went past when there wasn't 3 or 4 playing in one of the houses. So then if you go to the bottom of this page, you can see there's an interview there that's over 2 hours that he did. And another interesting thing is there was 3 brothers actually, because Jim Ward is quite famous and Tom Ward is quite famous, but they had another brother who died tragically when he was young. So the family are they were happy to acknowledge him, because there's always talk about 2 brothers, so it was great that there was another brother. But I have them playing as well. Not all of the brothers, but I have Jim Ward, and I don't think I have any recordings of Tom Ward. But yeah, so I have them on the list as well. Yeah, they are one of the people who started me through Jim Ward's jig. It's a jig everybody plays. I mean, everybody around the world plays the tune all the time. Yeah.
My mother was Lynch from Clare as well.
Yeah, Granny
She's
Bridget.
one of them. That's how they got Wards moved in to the Lynch property. Yeah.
And originally the Kilfenora came, and I knew it was the Clare band.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because there was big knowledge from the wars and the people were from Clare.
Yes,
And
they were all.
Each were married and they were Cork.
Yes.
They
Yes.
were all.
Yeah. Oh, I never heard anybody say that they refer to it as the Clare band. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's great.
Well, more stories. Anyone else?
No. Okay,
I
great.
can understand why you had such a successful project, okay, to pull all this together, because you have a way of weaseling out, okay,
Yes.
all these comments and all these stories. Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you
I
very
love the
much.
story.
Okay?
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Can we? Just one last thing to comment on is next month, which is our last meeting before Christmas. It's upon us. Our meeting is the 3rd week, the normal, we're going back to the 3rd week, okay, it's on the 20th of November. Would any one of our members know what the subject is going to be? I didn't look it up, and it wasn't given to me. Anyway, we'll pass it around, we'll aware of it, okay. So thank you again for your presence, and